I know you guys can't see what my face looks like behind the camera, but I'm telling you right now, it looks a whole heck of a lot like Keith Cone's face right here on his artwork. Because I am just so happy to finally have a brand new character from the first Cars movie. You know, it's always about cars on the road, Cars 3. I was going to say Cars 2 as well, but no, not Cars 2. It's always about cars on the road and Cars 3, but never really Cars 1 anymore, it feels like. You know, every once in a while we do get one new car, but it's not too often we get a character that is as substantial as Mr. Keith Cone here. And I know he's just a background character, one of the race fans from the first Cars movie, appears in the movie for like a split second, but his smile when we see him in the movie, it's just so iconic. So I absolutely love that they have finally released him for us as a 155 scale diecast. So welcome on back to the Cars Garage, everyone. I know this guy is from 2022. I'm just opening him now because I did actually get him in 2022. He was from Case H, one of the best cases probably of the decade. Also included the brand new version of Damaged the King, one of my favorite cars ever. Plus lots of other cool cars like a new variant of Brad Windmiller. And who else? There was a lot of other ones too, but I'm kind of blanking out on who they were right now. But anyways, yeah, Keith Cone was definitely the best car of, or the second best car of the case. Damage the King was the best. I just can't believe that they released a new one. That case was all about Cars 1. It really was. Oh, yeah, Yellow Eldorado was also in that case. So that kind of brought it down 1 star, maybe, from being like the best case of the decade. But it still could be. It's still like a top contender because brand new car has a movie accurate expression, plus new version of Damage the King, my favorite car ever. That makes it a great case. Anyways, though, yeah, here is his artwork. Looks pretty much just like he does in the movie when we see him all happy, cheering on all of the race cars as they are going around the Los Angeles International Speedway. Not really that many race cars because there's only 3 in that race. Of course, McQueen, the King, and Chick Hicks. And we actually see Keith like right before Chick decides to slam into the King and send him flying into his career-ending wreck. Well, I mean, he was gonna end his career either way. He was going into retirement, but love the artwork though. He is on Red Riders. It's the older style of Red Riders with the white box, of course. This one is pretty damaged, but yeah, I did find him, like I was saying. My grandma found him for me actually at the Leamington Wally Mart in 2022. She picked him up for me, and then I had to go to the dentist that night. So once I was done with the dentist, I went to her house and picked him up, plus Damage the King. So it was just a great day. I got all these new cars. Yellow Eldorado 2. Brad Windmiller, I don't think I found him for some reason. But who else was in the case? I don't know. I found quite a few, though. Or she found them for me, and I was able to get them. But then I just got this one from Mr. Dockett just about maybe a couple months ago. So I have been wanting to review this guy for quite some time and unbox him, add him to the old collection, but it's just taken me a bit to do it. But oh well. Anyways, on the back, as seen in Cars, first Cars movie, got Marlon Clutches McKay, Winford Bradford Rutherford. They just used, for some reason, the stock image of Bruce Miller from Cars 3. And then already, I think, was he also in that case? No, he's in another case, I think. But Yellow Hydraulic Ramon, Brad Windmiller, Kathy Copter, and Dexter Hoover with his checkered flag. Such a forlorn release on Red Riders. Like, I never found him, and I believe he's pretty rare nowadays. Anyways, though, without any further ado, guys, I'll be right back with Keith Cone all opened up. When Mattel first released this guy in 2022, they put out a listing like just before he was released, and the name of the listing for him was Camera Hog Van, and nobody really knew who the heck that was. We figured it was a new character, but at the time when we first saw the listing get revealed, we had no idea who the heck this character was going to end up being, and it obviously ended up being Mr. Keith Cone here. And now that we know that it ended up being Keith Cone, it's like, how did we not know that when we saw the name of that listing? Because if you remember where he appears at in the first Cars movie, he really is trying his ever-loving best to get into the frame of the camera, to get on TV, and to just be a part of the whole tiebreaker race that was happening at the Los Angeles International Speedway. He was there, and he wanted everyone to know it, and I really don't blame the guy. I mean, he's a kind of a boring old brown minivan. Probably, I don't know what he does we don't know his life story, but he just seems like he is kind of a simpleton, you know what I mean? So, being on live TV, that's a big deal for him. Even if it was just a split second, it was only like half of his face, he didn't mind. He was like squeezing up next to Timothy Two Stroke. Timothy, he could care less though. I mean, just look at his expression. And I find it so funny how Mattel nailed both of these characters' expressions, and they really do appear right next to each other in the same scene. So funny because Timothy looks exactly like he does in the movie. And Keith Cone, I think he looks pretty much exactly like he does. They kind of made him looking off to the side, which I like, but it's not really, I don't think at least, like what he is doing in the movie, but it's still really great. The mouth is perfect. I don't know why they made him looking off to the side because he's not really so much in the movie. Maybe a little. I just feel like this is a bit much. But either way, I love the expression. It is definitely one for the books. I like it a lot. And guess what? He also does not have a plastic eye plate, which is even better. I mean, a great expression without the added plastic, get some extra metal in there. It's nice. I like it a lot. Now, mine's a little bit dirty. Luckily, I didn't cut my nails yet. They are still on the longer side, so I can try to scrape it off, but it's not really coming off. I don't really know why. It's kind of upsetting. Not really like an error or anything. It's just like dirt must have been straight from the factory. I'm not sure, but nice brown eyes, a little bit blurry because he doesn't have a plastic eye plate, but because it's so curved, his windshield, I am glad that it's not plastic. I don't think they would have been able to do it very good, honestly, on a curved surface. It's not flat, so they probably had to do it metal. Well, that's fine. I just love how deep his mouth is. I mean, that is like a cave in there, and they even painted it too. They painted his teeth on the top and bottom row, which is really really nice, and they even painted the inside part red to kind of look like a tongue, I guess, which is really cool. But it is so deep. Like, that's got to be one of the deepest mouths I've ever seen in my life for a Cars diecast. That is awesome. No decals, but he does have some cool little, like, oval shaped headlights in the front. Got his little side view mirrors. Looks to be like they are plastic. They're like separate pieces, I believe. Yeah, they're connected to the windows, which is pretty cool. They're not rubber like most mirrors are. And his windows are plastic, of course, as well, because it is connected to the mirror, like I was saying. Nice dark gray, kind of like blackish trim around them, though. These three little dots, I don't know why. A lot of minivans had that on the back window. I'm not really sure why. I guess it's just screws to kind of like hold the glass into place, because usually the back windows can kind of like slide out, but they don't open like your typical windows where they like slide down, so they kind of come out and then back a little. So maybe that's why a lot of the other minivans with the same model do kind of have that though as well. Van kind of has them in a different spot, but they are all kind of the same model, like Keith Cone, Leroy Traffic, Van, Chuck Choke Cables, pretty much the same model, which is called the Pobla Loco Lug Nutter. What a weird name. I don't know who the heck came up with that name, but that's what the model of van is, so I guess that means it's the same model as Keith Cone, or at least that's what it said on the Pixar Cars wiki page online. Anyways, though, very, very simple rims. Perfect for a minivan dad. I was going to say minivan mom, but no, he's a male, so I guess that would make him a minivan dad, or maybe he's not a dad. Who knows? But either way, he's still a minivan, and I like him a lot. I think he's just a great looking minivan. So simple, but yet so cool. I like a good brown car, and we don't get too many brown cars, to be honest. That's why I like Sheldon Shifter, the brown at Sputterstop Next Gen. I just think it's a cool color to see on a car. It's not one that you see too much in real life either, so I think it's cool. He does have the little door handles there, and they're connected, of course, because that's what minivans do. The back doors open up from the side, they like slide open. Got some kind of old fashioned trim down here. Definitely looks like an early 2000s minivan. Plastic window on the back. Now, they didn't paint his taillights. I don't know why. That's kind of lazy on Mattel's part. They did his headlights, but they just couldn't be bothered to do his taillights. And it's super upsetting, especially on a car like this, who doesn't really have any decals other than the lights, and the license plate. So I don't know why they really did that, but oh well. I remember when I watched Mr. Doggett's review of this guy originally in 2022, he was thinking he got an error because they didn't have, obviously, the taillights painted on. But no, it's not an error. It's just supposed to be like that. Unfortunately, it's just lazy old Mattel. Let's get a zoom in on this license plate, though. Really is hard to tell what it says on top. Obviously, the text right here, the digits, just says KYT 49, and it's like a white and yellow license plate. Pretty cool. Reminds me of like a tropical type of climate license plate, which I like. But on the top, it is hard to tell, and I wouldn't have known what it said until I found out that he actually has the same license plate as Ernest B. Rakes, who is the Spearmint crew chief from Cars 1. And that's how I figured out that it actually says Locknut. That is his home, Locknut. So he's a lug nutter, and he's from Locknut. That's pretty funny, I think. But I love the license plate. It looks really good. It's just a little bit on the blurry side because obviously he's made from Thailand, but that's to be expected. On this side, it's the exact same, of course, nothing to really talk about. And he does have the nice little plastic roof rack up here so that he can, attach things to his roof. And all these minivans with this model do have that. I keep showing van, and it's the Lost in the Desert version. It's the only one I have. I only have like the regular one with lenticular eyes, and I have no idea where it is. So this is your comparison for today with the van. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how I don't have a regular version of Van, like one of the more like common background characters from the first Cars movie. But whatever. He does have the roof rack, as you guys can see, but he has the extra like luggage thing on top. Keith doesn't have that. And then, of course, Leroy Traffic, he doesn't have that actually. I didn't even realize because it's covered by the mattress. So maybe he does have that underneath. We just can't see it because of the mattress. And then Chuck Choke Cables does have it, but it's like kind of a different size and shape. It's pretty much the same. It's just not as thick as Keith's, but maybe that's just because, he's from Thailand and Chuck is from China. Anyways, though, on the bottom, our 13A is the date stamp. I love how he also has a brown base. That is very, very cool. But the date stamp, that just means he was made on the 13th week of 2022. Pretty cool. I absolutely love Keith Kone, though. Really cool name, too. He is actually named off of the car's technical director, whose real name is Keith Calder. That's just really cool, especially because they kind of like based his name off of somebody that worked on the first Cars movie, which is where Keith appears at. I just really like that a lot. Really, really cool. I love how they name the cars off of, or most of the time, at least, they name the cars off of Pixar employees. He is leaking brown paint, though. I notice that a lot with Thailand cars. They seem to leak some paint, and it comes from this rivet that's in the front up here. I don't know why, but it's weird. It always happens now, and it makes my whole setup look dirty. But it's not. I always clean it before I start videos, if it is dirty at all. If not, I just kind of leave it. But anyways, yeah, here he is next to Van. Actually, they're not the same model. Look at that, the back window. That's a completely different shape. His is much more like circular and taller. So yeah, they're not the exact same model. But I guess, well, who is he the same? He must be the same model as someone. I think he's the same exact model as like Chuck Choke Cables. Yeah, look at this, guys. Yeah, he's definitely, well, not really the exact same though, because look, you can tell with this black trim around the windshield, you can tell that it's not the same shape. It's much more rounded. So I don't know. I guess he's kind of like his own model, I guess. I don't know. He's definitely not the same as like Minnie, like Van's wife. Definitely not the exact same as her. I didn't even bring her out because I know that she's much smaller. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He's really not the exact same model as any Van, I guess. If he is, let me know in the comments if I missed any. But I really can't think of any other minivans that look like him. Here's the Leroy Traffic with snow tires. I brought the snow tires version because it's from Thailand, so I thought it might be a better comparison. But yeah, you should have taillights that kind of look something like this. Unfortunately, they didn't paint them on. Poor Keith gets gypped out of his taillights. He waited so long for a release, and then they do him, and they don't really do him justice. But I mean, other than the taillights, they did him just fine. I think he looks really cool. Great background character to have as a diecast. I really can't complain. I think he's one of my favorite background character like race fans that we've ever gotten in diecast form. Anyway, so thank you guys as always for watching. I hope that you did enjoy, and I'll see you next time right here on the Cars Garage.